Do not confuse this with treatment or mental health advice or direction. Nothing on this podcast is made to supplement or supersede the relationship and direction of your mental health caretakers. Although David Kozlowski is a licensed marriage and family therapist, he is not functioning as a certified mental health professional in this environment, but same applies to any professionals who may appear on the Light the Fight podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Light the Fight. We're here live on, we called the people from YouTube, told them to get down here and record this. So
hey
they're
guys.
here recording this for us. Thank you everybody from YouTube to bring your production crew down here to film us.
And in case, you know, you're really hard up for things to watch and you're watching this. I shouldn't say that. Come on. I'm sorry for
I like to watch
I'm sorry
my
for like
podcast.
this 6-year-old denim shirt that I'm wearing. That it's just a comfort shirt tonight. I just needed a comfort shirt. So it's not really about fashion. This video series that we're doing here, not a fashion show.
Wait, I'm not.
Maybe it is for David.
I'm not gonna let you steal the thunder on the fashion police faux pas because you're looking on YouTube right now. We are in Utah. But you're looking at the Donnie Bonaducci version of me right now. I got my slick back hair. I look like a low budget extra for a mafia movie from the 80s. And that was the look I'm going for. So my wife, it's not making her happy. Today, when on the way over, she's like, do you have a haircut appointment for this week?
Oh,
and
shots fired.
As a matter of fact, I do. She's like, yeah, she's not really down with me at the long slick back hair. But if it was up to me, I'd have long hair. Surfing every day. I'd eat one acai bowl and one poke bowl a day. Surfing, running barefooted on the beach. That's what I'd be doing. I would never step foot in a fitness gym if it were up to me. But since I live in Utah,
what are you
I go to
gonna
the gym
do?
like everybody else. Do all the typical stuff and try to look reasonably like professional somewhat.
Well, you have to because you're an authority. You're a teacher.
That's right. See, I don't want to be party just in the back and business on top. I want to party from top to bottom. But I guess that ship sailed. I'm too old, you guys. I'm too old to get a tattoo now. I've never had one up to this point. So
you really don't have any tattoos. Even I have a tattoo.
You know, well, my wife, when we got married, I was like, hey, I had this family crest for my family in Samoa. Like, there's this print, right? And I was like, what do you think about me getting the sleeve? She's like, that ship sailed, man. She's like, don't be that guy. And I was like, dang it. I'm too old. She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. It's true. Because I had a couple of good buddies in my mind. They started getting like full body tattoos, like, in their 40s. I'm like, she's like, just go buy a muscle car. I'm like, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah, good idea.
I can trade that, right? No disrespect to all the people out there who got your 4-year-old tattoos. Just for me, it'd be looking like I was trying too hard. So.
Well,
anyway, but for now, I'm just growing my hair out, slicking it back with lots of grease.
That's good. I hadn't even noticed.
You hadn't noticed?
No, I wasn't even asking you about your haircut.
Well, if I wore a leather jacket in here and a gold chain with the Jesus piece on
yes,
the front,
then that would
you would have noticed that.
That I would have noticed immediately. I would have been like, David is bedazzling.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, man. I used to. Hey, you ever watch Friends out there? How you doing? I used to have some of the "how you doing" in me back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. I as I've said in this podcast, I believe before, when I was younger, I never met a mirror I didn't like. Let's put it that way.
What year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated. We're really going to do this?
We're going to do it. Let's just do it because I just had a birthday, so let's just
I graduated in 2002.
2002.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, wait, no. And then I was like, 90.
I graduated from high school 1992.
1992.
I'm freshly 47 years old.
Because I graduated in 1990.
Oh, shoot. You would have hazed me.
Yeah.
Even when a senior girl
I just
thought
think
she was too good for too
my
cool for
my
school.
point is that I just don't. You guys, here's the thing. I don't think that me and David would have been friends.
No.
In high school.
No.
Or in
Definitely
college.
Definitely not.
So we really
unless
needed.
you liked letting football players cheat off of you.
I
for
needed a
tests,
lot
you would
of
not have been
trauma
friends.
in my life to become friends with you.
That's true. Unless you felt, unless
Same
you,
with Brandon.
unless you like looked in the corner like, look at that poor football player. Looks like he's had a lot of concussions. He looks dumb as a box of dirt clods. I'm gonna let him borrow my notes and cheat off my test.
I don't even know if I was confident enough in my own test.
Kidding.
So
I didn't.
Anyway,
I didn't technically cheat off of girls' tests. They just helped me study. I just needed a team of people to help me study because it was not a. In college, you can't even cheat. You gotta know what you're doing.
It's true. It's true. You gotta prepare to cheat.
Elementary, high school.
You gotta prepare.
Let me check out your paper. You couldn't do that in college if you didn't have comprehension. Know what the hell you're doing. It's like, how do you cheat in statistics when you can't even like show the work?
Well, they don't make the football players actually do work, do they? In college?
Well, I didn't go to Alabama. Okay, I didn't go to USC. With all due respect to those programs, they have been known in the past to flirt with the line of illegal helping. But yeah, so no, I went to the University of Utah. I was a full ride scholarship there. They did not pay me under the table to play there. They don't do that in those schools. So we actually had to go to school. And oddly enough, when you're in college, you're going to have professors that love you or hate you. And I'm telling you, maybe other sports that might love you. I didn't find too many professors that love football players, and I don't blame them.
Yeah. It's true.
I don't blame him. That's why I made it a point to go to class wearing nothing that said University of Utah football. Nothing. I tried to look as little like a football player as possible because I just wanted to blend in. I did not want to be stigmatized as someone that is just taking advantage of all the resources of the school.
What I loved about the U? This is really random. Sorry, guys. What I loved about the U is that you could totally wear socks with your Teva sandals, no questions asked. It's just never you could like I went to BYU. I went to BYU for a little while. There was none of that. You could not get away with that. But you went up to the U, you wear your socks and sandals. Nobody even.
So is that how you guys rebelled at BYU?
Yeah.
You wore socks with Teva sandals?
Yeah, that's why we wouldn't have been friends probably.
No. For what you were striving for, I'd be talking to a girl like, oh, she's nice, she's attractive. Be talking to her like eye contact. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, she's wearing a nice sundress. She's got a good style. And my eyes would go down and look at her feet, and she'd have Teva sandals on with like a really pretty sundress on and socks. And I got to tell you guys, coming from the
wool
beach,
socks, wool socks.
Because they breathe apparently.
Yes, much better.
They swick or whatever. And so I remember the first time, swick, whatever. I remember the first time I saw this girl, and I was like, she was a friend of mine, so I asked her, I'm like, can I ask you a question? I'm like, you're from Utah, right? She's like, yeah, how'd you guess? Like you guessed, right? And I'm like, what's up with the sundress and the sandals? And she kind of gave me like one of those like mullet, like party on the top, or party on the back and business on the top. She's like, well, it's like you can still be pretty and like, and like just feel pretty and ready to be outside. But you could go on a hike if it just spurred up out of the moment.
You just go off road and that.
And I remember looking at her going, so you want to wear a sundress with sandal boots on just in case you need a hike? And I never understood it because I'm from the beach, and where I was from, socks and sandals, you basically just screamed, hey, I'm a tourist, take advantage of me.
Right,
right. I will overpay for things that I don't need to overpay for. So having said that, the University of Utah did allow people to dress like that.
If any of you guys can relate to any of these things, then
these are all 90 problems.
Now you know.
Hey, when I was in the 90s, when I first got here, I was rocking Girbaud jeans.
Oh, yes. Okay. Of course you were. That were pegged. That you were, rolled up.
Oh, they had to be flexible for me to dance in them,
Oh, dancing.
Hey, man, I came from that MC Hammer era.
Wow. See, again, this is more reasons why David and I wouldn't have been friends at that time.
All right, so what's the podcast about? Fashion, pop culture? Oh, no, feelings. Okay, we're way off topic right now. So
what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, there's a holiday coming up.
Father's Day.
No, before that.
Oh, before that. Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Yes.
No one ever forgets Mother's Day. We were talking before, and I'm like, Father's Day's in July. You're like, it's June. I'm like, exactly. That's my point. Nobody knows when Father's Day is.
There's just so many fun memes about Mother's Day, too. Particularly the memes that are coming from women's clothing boutiques right now on social media. And they're all so true. Like, all I want for Mother's Day is for all of you to leave and never talk to me for the entire day. So
all the memes are what moms think, but don't really want to say
Yeah.
because they'll be pegged as a bad
And
mom.
I'm going to just be honest with you. I can really feel that. I think on Mother's Day, I don't know why you naturally like have this feeling that you want to be left alone. If you're going to celebrate me, leave. Like you're tired. You don't want to do anything. You don't even want to spend the energy to appreciate people trying to make you burnt toast for in your bed, or anything like that. Like just the effort of trying to accommodate people trying to be nice to you is tiring.
So you're saying perfect Mother's Day for Heidi Swap would be a tropical beach in a different country.
Yes.
So that it's not even celebrated. You just enjoy the day.
Not even talked about.
Gotcha.
Which is terrible because, you're our greatest joy.
Well, it sounds like you're coming from a mom that had a lot of Mother's Days that went awry. It did not go. Is that how you think it went awry?
I don't think it's the Mother's Day that went awry. I think it's the 364 days of repeatedly, I'm not going to talk about the towels, but, other things that you're trying to do.
Like the holidays a day off.
Yeah, you're like.
Yeah, okay.
You're like, just, that's what it should.
What about a good, brunch, though? Could you handle brunch?
Well, I mean.
Some crepes, maybe?
I would just like to sleep in.
Okay.
That's the ultimate. So any man who's listening, husband, father, son, daughter, anyone who has a mother, leave her alone. This is my.
Wait, hold on. What if not all Mother's Day? What if not all moms want to be left alone? Some dads are like, Roger that, Heidi.
Okay,
I was listening to this podcast and it said to leave you alone on Mother's Day.
Chime in.
You realize you're telling dads
I want to know.
They don't have to do anything for their wives on Mother's Day.
I want to know, you
She
guys.
may not represent all moms.
I want to know.
But
But if I'm the only one, I can't possibly be the only one. So send us your message.
Well, hey,
Tell
I'm not
us
a mom, so
your
I got
ultimate Mother's Day, like what you would love. Your mother. That's what we need to know. We need a studio audience.
I can tell you what my wife would like right now, Mother's Day. Beautiful sunny day. I mean, obviously we're here in Utah, so
50-50.
Yeah, but beautiful sunny day. It could be sunny or snowing on May 10th or 9th, whatever it is. But beautiful sunny day, nice breakfast, just lounge around the house, and what she would have really liked is waking up and the house be cleaned. So my wife would really like if I cleaned everything, did everything, it's all taken care of, so she can wake up and not have that anxiety.
Yes.
Have some food, have some breakfast, and then go on a nice hike with the kids and the dog. Like that would be like just go on a hike up in the mountains. Like that would be perfect for her. Something just mellow, chill, So I guess her left alone would be more left alone from like work and clients, like responsibility, left alone from responsibility.
Yeah. I bring this up.
But some of you may want a margarita at 8 a.m.
Maybe so.
Some of you may have a different envision of a perfect Mother's Day.
Pack your bags and go to your friend's house.
There you go.
No. That's probably terrible for me to say. But I think that one of the things I thought maybe we could talk about just a little bit is kind of like parenting fatigue.
No such thing.
What do you do when you're literally exhausted as a parent?
Just looking at it like, that's a joke.
What do you do? I mean, I've been in the place, and I'm happy to say right now, May of 2021, I don't have like mass amounts of anxiety and worry and concern about one of my children. But I've been in that place where it's like this constant worry, fear, anxiety, overwhelmed feeling of, is my kid going to be okay? And it could be from anything. It could be from a child who has behavioral issues. It can be from a child who is suffering from being left out of the friend group, to maybe a child who is struggling with mental illness, to a child who's just failing out of school.
Well, this is starting to make more sense because what you're really saying is that you're saying like, I want to have a Mother's Day right now in my life where I don't have to save anyone. I don't have to rescue anyone. I don't have to be on high like alert, and I can just be.
Right. I mean, does that exist?
Well, no. I mean, it sounds like right now you got your best shot in 2021 of that happening.
I'm feeling
in
pretty
recent
good.
Years,
I'm feeling pretty good. But there's always something. I am thankful that at this moment, even though there has been hard things happening, I feel like our relationships are in a place that we're dealing with things up front.
Well, and you're also having a different type of parenting fatigue because you're parenting your parents.
Yes, I am.
And that's like a whole different thing.
That's it is a different type of anxiety, but
I mean, think about how fortunate you are to have gone through all this stuff with your family, not at the exact same time while dealing this with your parents. It's almost like a perfect, in the sense like your parents are going to have this time of their life. Your kids are going to go through their times in their lives. So to have the opportunity to focus on your kids and give your energy there, things are stable and good place there. So now you have the time and energy to focus on your parents. It still is caregiving, parenting is fatigue. So whether you're taking care of your parents, whether you're taking care of your kids, there's an obvious fatigue that comes from that. And that type of fatigue, if not checked, the self-care, the basic daily things that you do for yourself get pushed off the side because you're thinking that what you need to do, when I say you, meaning people out there, when we're showing up to really troublesome situations, we're going in it with that fight or flight, like I have to handle this, I have to gear up and I have to take care of my parents or I have to take care of my kids going through a difficult situation. But we end up being there a lot longer than we planned on being there. And so that's the fatigue that we want to talk about today, is that how do you see this as the marathon that it really is? Because everyone hopes that it would just be wham bam, I'll take care of a couple situations, I'll wash my hands clean, and I'll be done. We'll be moving on to the next one.
Let's go out, get some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk it out.
Yeah, but as your kids get older, ice cream doesn't solve everything. When you have to deal with real end of life stuff like I did with my parents and that you're dealing with your parents, we're talking about, do we have them stay at the home, or do you get hospice? Do you check them in somewhere to live for residential? Like all these major life decisions that you're making, we all want them to be just decisions we can make and then move on to the next one. But we're there, like I said, a lot longer than anticipated. So it's hard to readjust to how do we get used to this situation and still take care of ourselves so that we don't get overly fatigued. Because to be fatigued from doing hard things, that's to be accepted. But if you're going to be there for a while doing difficult things in your caregiving and your parenting, then it's going to be helpful to plan to be able to deal with the fatigue that's just part of what you're doing. Like there's going to be obvious fatigue with it. So we wanted to talk about that and, just kind of throw our insight and info into the hat for all of you out there that are feeling that, it's coming towards the end of the school year. For many people that have...
carpool. Crap.
Okay.
I hope somebody's picking up the carpool.
Little late on the carpool, yeah. They've been at the school a long time.
No, it's from dance.
Oh, from dance.
I'm just gonna put this on airplane mode.
Just hope they downloaded
the
updated version of the Uber app. Okay.
Guys, I have parenting fatigue right now.
So we just want to talk about that a little bit for, like I said, for all you listeners that are, some of you may just be looking toward the summer, just like get to the end of the summer. But this is the time where we can cut a lot of corners. It's easy for when our kids have the end of the year coming up for them to be stressed, for us to want them to finish strong. But it's also because we're all humans, it's easy for us to easily just go, it's almost done. It's like, if
take your foot off the gas,
they're going to get bad grades, take your foot off the gas, or maybe go really hard and affect the relationship by pushing your kids too far to try to make a miracle out of the end of the school year, when in reality, They didn't achieve the grades or what they would expect or you would have expected for the school year. Now, that may not be for everybody. Some people, your kids may be doing really good in school, and that's not a problem, but there might be behavioral challenges. There might be worries and concerns about the summertime that you're thinking about. So whatever it is that's causing you fatigue in your parenting, we're just going to give you a couple ideas and thoughts of, how you can make sure that you manage, your situation to the best of your ability. Because fatigue, being tired is normal. Being fatigued is when it goes a little bit past being tired. And if we're living in that area, it's like living in the red. So you're just running on empty, hoping you don't run out of gas.
One of the emotions that kind of comes out in my mind from a really fatigued situation. Well, I'm going to tell you 2 emotions that I have experienced and what I see. The first one is resentment. And then the second one that comes real quick is the guilt for being resentful. And it almost, it's like a Google. It's just like when, you get knocked down and then you get kicked. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I mean, let's talk about that. What do you tell a parent when this fatigue has gotten to the point where they're mad?
Well, similar to like what we talked about a couple weeks ago in regards to resentment, I don't know what things have to happen in someone's life for them to put this together. Usually it's a lot of different life experiences, but oftentimes our ego doesn't want us to acknowledge when we've been beat, acknowledge when we don't have the answers, acknowledge when we're doing something doesn't work or it's not effective, like efficient. And we all have an ego. We all want our way of parenting or our way of doing things to be right, because it'd just be a lot easier if just everything that we put our time and effort into just paid off finally. One of our workshop and a lot that we've done here at Light the Fight has been talking about updating your parenting app. And if you think of parenting like a constant app, there's always updates. And if you forget to update your app on any app for that matter, it starts getting bugs, doesn't work, it gets all glitchy, right? So, the company, out of the goodness of their heart, because they want you to continue to use their product, they say, we've made some refinements, we've made some changes, and now we're going to upload these changes or give you a chance to upload these changes so you can now benefit from this application. And very similar with parenting, you can benefit so much in your life from having an updated parenting app. Our technology with what our kids and our teenagers and even us as adults in our lives are giving us are lots of amazing, entertaining, lots of helpful tools. But it's also giving us lots of pressure and lots of stress to perform 7 days a week and constantly be on. And
you better respond to this email in 5 minutes because everyone knows you have your phone with you.
Yeah. So when you think about like parenting fatigue, it's not just the parenting that's adding to the fatigue. There's so much that parents have to do. And some of you parents out there listening may be like my parents, where they're actually grandparents. They'd already raised a full family. Now they're doing it again. Some of you may have adopted, and like again, in my situation, and you find yourself saying, man, like I have more knowledge, I have more wisdom, I don't have the energy to do it. Or maybe you're a young parent saying, I have all the energy in the world, I just don't have the patience or like the insight and understanding, like how to help my kids in this particular way. So when I'm talking to parents, like in my own private practice that are just really burned out, I stop everything else we're doing and we focus on that for a little while. And here's the reason why we focus on that is because it doesn't matter what your kids are struggling with. It doesn't matter what's going on with your job. It doesn't matter, all these other things you have to juggle. If you're burned out and completely fatigued, not to sound corny, not only are you not going to not show up effectively, okay, But what's going to happen is you're going to make it worse. You're going to say things that you have to later apologize for your kids. Or if you don't apologize, that makes it even worse if you just act like, hey, I want you to be accountable for things that you say that are mean, but I don't have to come back and apologize to you for things that I say that are mean. So for all you burnt out parents out there, when I'm counseling families and I see that the parents are just like, I'm done, I give up, and they come in the office right away, throwing their hands up, I'm done, I give up, I give up. I'm like, okay, well, tell me exactly what's different about your situation right now that's caused you now to want to give up. It's usually nothing half as difficult as they've been through in the past. But now they, for some reason, they had in their mind that I'm capable of doing this fight or this challenge for this amount of months. Well, now it's past that. And I mentally wasn't prepared because 10 years ago when I first had kids, I always said, like, I would help them this much, but I won't go anything past that. Well, 10 years ago, you didn't even, your 10-year-old self, like your 32-year-old self, couldn't consult with your 42-year-old self, right? And couldn't say, like, you're, like, a lot of people, you know, at 22, be like, I want to have this job. I want to retire when I'm 50 and, you know, work from home in my pajamas and make 10 grand a month. And, like, they have all these things, right? And then 10 years later, you're working a basic job, making basic money, saying, how come that doesn't really work out so well? Because our younger selves don't really have a realistic expectation of how much energy it's going to take to have a successful partnership, marriage, job, and to be successful in parenting and have good relationships with your kids. So when parents come in and they just start throwing up their hands, they're checked out, I stop all counseling in regards to we're not going to work on anything that day with their kids. We're not going to role play. We're not going to have conversation with their kids. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to let them just vent out everything that they're frustrated about, everything that they feel like just resentful towards, that they're angry, that they couldn't control. And then once they get through all those different types of things, I ask them to ask themselves a question. And it's usually a question like this. What did you expect having, like, let's say you got three kids, running your own business, doing this, doing that. And I just label all the things in life, said, what did you expect was going to happen when you worked all your life to be able to balance and manage all these things? What did you think was going to happen with your energy? Did you think it was just going to magically, like, refuel itself every single day? Usually people say, no. And then we start looking at all the things that they've neglected for their own personal self throughout that week and that month. And then I tell them, a couple times I'd tell parents, I'm like, I will no longer give you advice and help you with your kids in this particular situation. Now, these aren't life or death situations I'd say this in, right? In this particular situation until you put some of your own skin on the table. Can't tell you how many times parents will bring their kids and say, my kid's suicidal, depressed, fix them. And then the kid's like, my parents are depressed, my parents are sad, my parents are unhealthy physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the parents say, oh yeah, but like that's not what we're here for. I'm like, no, that's exactly what we're here for. So you're telling your kid that they need to burn the candle at both ends and do all these things and perform at a high level, but they also have to take care of themselves, get good sleep, exercise, eat well and stuff like that for them to maintain that. But you're exempt. Like, you don't have to deal with those types of things. So it happens quite frequently where we have to change the direction of the counseling from the kids' needs to the parents' needs. So if you're getting exhausted as a parent, that means that, I'm using this as a metaphor, it means you may need counseling more than your kids. And I don't mean counseling like psychological psychotherapy counseling. I mean like good counsel on what are you doing in your life right at that particular moment that's burning your resources. And I see this happen with parents that when their kids are constantly in very difficult situations, as soon as their kid's situation starts to even out, starts to calm down, it's not like in your situation, it's not like really life-threatening or anything like that, the parents are kind of at a loss. Sometimes the parents don't really know what to do with themselves. They're like, okay, well, who else do I need to save? What else do I need to do? And I'm always like, save you. Like, look in the mirror. That person that had to survive just to make sure that your kids survived, now you got to go back and you got to make sure, because if you're getting your kids up to a high level of physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and you're not taking that next step with them, then what was all that work for? Like, why would you work so hard for your kids to sail off in the sunset for you to drown in the ocean? Like, that wouldn't make any sense. But a lot of times that's what happens. We get so, as the parental figures, we get so busy focused on, I got to pay bills, I got to do this, I got to do that. Everything is a constant, I have to do this. And I'm not talking about just like, you better take good care of yourself, go get a manicure, go get a massage. All those things are good. But I'm saying fundamentally, what are the things that you had to neglect, or you had to say, I can't deal with this for myself because I have to put all my effort into these other people in my life? Now you got to go back and you got to reevaluate that. So just like updating your parenting app, if on your parenting app you are not on your to-do list, that app ain't going to update.
Well, and it's interesting because you do think...
Did that make sense?
Yeah, it probably a little too much sense, frankly.
Almost like this is person
almost like
coaching for one Heidi swap.
I don't really want to admit that out loud, but it does make a lot of sense, because I think that when in our culture, when we say, oh, you need some self-care, and you think to yourself, okay, well, yeah, I really do need a haircut. I need to cut in the color, and I'm gonna get a manicure and a pedicure, and then I should feel great. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm gonna be refreshed, and I'm gonna feel great, and I'm gonna go back and have all this energy to conquer the world. But then the problem is, you go get your hair done and you get your nails done, and you still come home and you feel tired and exhausted. And so putting yourself on your to-do list isn't just to take a day off and primp. It's really making yourself a priority, which is really hard to do as a mom. And all the things that you said. But it's so easy to see that you're not doing anybody any favors when you're just not able to show up.
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing that, if you guys didn't know this, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but...
You're always the bearer of bad news.
I mean, I assume people just kind of intuitively know this. And I always say this to people, and it's funny. There's things I do with teenagers, things I do with parents, and I'll throw this out there, and everybody goes, yeah, that's me. I'm that kind of person. Everybody says that they're this kind of person.
Okay,
right?
Can't wait.
The few people who say that they're not this kind of person, they got other issues. Okay, so this is very normal to say this, right?
Okay.
So I'll be talking to someone, and I'll be acknowledging, like, let's say a burnt out parent. We'll stop a session, and I'll be like, let's talk about the stuff you're struggling with. So they're talking about what's making them burnt out. And then I'll explain to them, I'll say, all these things that you need to do to refuel yourself and energize yourself. I said, what if your kid came to you and said, these are the things that I need to be happier and healthier? What would you do to support them and help them with that? Oh, I would take them to that class. I would do this. They, like, anyone listening to this podcast would do a lot for their kids if their kids acknowledged and said, hey, like, Mom and Dad, like, what do you think I could do to be happier? What do you think I could do? And would you help me with that? And if you gave them advice and they're open for you to help them, you would jump on it, be Johnny on the spot. Let's do it. However, most people for themselves will not do those same things. Most people will say, I'm better at caring for these other people. I'm bad caring for myself. You realize part of the reason why medication, not the only reason why, but part of the reason why medication, whether it be if it's a cancer thing, mental health thing, whatever, is not as effective as it could be, is because people don't pick up their medication from the pharmacy. Or they pick up their medication and they rarely take it the way it's supposed to be taken. The day-to-day self, like, I'm going to invest in myself, for many people, it's not that it's hard. It's not a priority. Like, they can devalue and take their time with themselves, but if their loved one or someone that they want admiration from or someone that they want to impress needs them, bing, they're up out. Like, think if you see with your kids, what they'll do for their friends. Like you have your kids, like, your kid's not good at math, or their best friend says, hey, Susie says she needs help with her math homework, so I'm going to go over there. I'm going to stay up all night with her and help her. And you're like, hey, first of all, you're not good at math. I couldn't pay you to do your math homework.
When are you going to do your math?
Why would you do that? Because Sydney needed that. So if human beings mostly naturally have this instinct to care for other people.
It's purpose, right? It gives you purpose.
Exactly. But we're really struggling caring for ourselves. Then this is a notification. If you're being fatigued, you're put on notice. And the notice is, from my perspective, that you are doing something regularly and habitually and repetitively to benefit your kids and other people's lives, all while neglecting the things that will benefit you being able to show up for their lives more impactfully and with more energy. So this is the question I want all of our listeners to ask your family members and your loved ones. This is what I would do in my therapy practice, right? When I'm talking to parents that are burned out after they vent and stuff like that, I'll bring their kids in. I say, here's what we're gonna do. I go, so your mom and dad here, a little on the cuckoo, little on the like they're barely holding on side. I've never had a teenager go, no, I have no idea what you're talking about, Dave. My parents are totally sane. They usually look at me and look at them like, am I allowed to be honest? Or like, am I in the circle of trust here? Can I be honest? And so here's what I do. I ask the parent, whether it's in my office or tell them to go home, I said, if you have lived enough life where you're ready for the thing you've always asked your kids to be ready to give, then it's your turn. You're ready for the truth. Are you ready for the truth? Because if you're ready for the truth, and being ready for the truth isn't mean you can handle someone telling you the truth. That means you're asking them to give you insight and information to help you with your life. Okay? So if you're ready for the truth, listeners out there, go home to your family, your friends, your close people, specifically if you got kids, and ask them, say, listen, I don't know if you noticed this. I was like, people joke around a little bit. I don't know if you noticed this, but I've been a little short-tempered lately. I don't know if you noticed,
I've been crying in my room.
I've been melting down, or maybe if your dad's like, I don't know if you noticed lately, I've been extra grumpy and an a-hole lately. And you're definitely gonna get their attention when you start off a conversation like this. They'll be like, okay, I'm listening. Like, where's this going?
Yeah.
But if you were to say, listen,
did you read my text?
Yeah. If you were to say, listen, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been noticing. And then just confess. I've been noticing I've been short-tempered. I've been this. I've been tired. I've been this and that and this and that. Your whole entire life, I've been pointing out to you all the things that you need to do and you should do to be happy and successful. But now I need your help. You don't have to say everything right now, but could you think, what are a few things that, from your perspective looking at me, that if I were to work on, if I were to do, it could be basic, simple things that I'd have more energy. Things that you notice when I do these things, I'm in a better mood. Like, you see me in ways I don't see myself. So what are some of the things that you would suggest I work on, I do, and get the habit of doing?
Do your clients do this? I think I would be so scared.
If my clients don't do what I suggest they do,
they don't get to be your clients anymore.
Well, no, I'm not going to say they don't get to be my clients anymore. It ain't going to work. And so we just... At that point, as you know, I've had them try. By the time I'm having a client try this, I've done some crazy things, meaning like I've suggested crazy things and it worked in crisis situations. So they have to give it a shot. Like I have some of my clients that I've known for so long. I have them in such a vulnerable situation and they know it because they know that I know where all the bodies are buried. I'm like, you're not going to do this, but you did that thing that I told you 6 months ago. And they're like, yeah, you got a good point there. Like I have too much info on them. Like I can definitely manipulate that situation to get them to try these things. But
it's hard. It's hard.
But you see what I'm saying?
Like,
to go to your client. That's what I said. Everyone's in different places in their life. Like some people, like I'm fatigued, I'm tired. But you want to talk about it, or you want to be about it. You want to really do something about it. Don't just come up with your own. Like, well, I should probably just, with all due respect, I'm just making fun of certain things. Well, I should probably just focus on better self-care. Well, that would be a good idea, but how are you going to follow through with self-care when you don't have enough energy to care? Right? We've talked about this before. It's like, I've talked to so many people like, I'd focus on self-care, but I don't have enough energy to
You
care. I'm
take
just
it.
too tired to care, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to your kids and your kids say, Mom, and talking about you, Heidi, if you go to your kids and you say this and your kids say, Mom, like, I noticed, and they make a couple jokes and cracks at you, and you say, okay, yeah, no, but I'm being dead serious. Like, seriously, like, what's something that would really help me? Like, tell me something to help me. I'm asking for your advice. They will sit up straighter and they'll notice, oh, she's being serious? Okay. Well, I have noticed that, like, when I see your light upstairs, like, late at night, I kind of notice the next day, like, you're not in the best mood and we don't get home cooked meals. You know what I'm saying? Like, for some reason, when she's up till 4 a.m., no one's getting that smell when they're coming in the house, right? Like, there's connections here. And these things, if they can see, this is a hack to trick yourself to do things. Because if you're a person that would do things for your loved ones, then you need to go to ask them to tell them to give you suggestions. But you have to be ready for this. Because some of the things they say, I've had parents do this, and this was their response to their kids. And I'm like, time out. Like, you're almost kicked out of the game, right? They would say, what do you think I should do? This one smart aleck teenage boy, he's being very honest, but in a smart aleck way, he said, well, Mom, you should stop eating so much sweets. And she goes, what? I don't have sweets. Like, I've been on a diet this, that. He's like, Mom, I found your stash last week. And she's like, what are you talking about? This happened in a session. I didn't know what was going on. I'm sitting there going, wait, what stat? I'm like, what are we talking about? I'm like, what's going on here? He's like, well, you know how you hid my cell phone from me, Mom, this week because I lost it? She goes, yeah, well, I'll admit, I was going through your stuff looking for my cell phone. I wanted to check it. And I found a box of goodies. And she goes, oh, well, those weren't mine. It's like, Mom, you're the only one in our house that eats Little Debbie's. And it was a shoebox full of them. And
moms are all like, I have a stash.
She put her head down, and I'm sitting there looking at this young man, and I'm like looking at him. I look over at her. If you see this on YouTube, I'm like, look over at her. I'm like, and she like put her head down and wouldn't make eye contact with me. I look back at him, I'm like, okay, this just got interesting. All right. I'm like, and she was like, and her natural reaction, well, that's not mine. And I'm like looking at her, and even her teenage son was like, oh, so that's what I look like when I'm lying? It was so obvious. It was just a frantic. She started breathing heavy, and I just looked at her. I'm like, okay, we triggered a lot of shame here. Obviously, triggered something here. And she got really rattled her cage. I said, okay, calm down. All of a sudden, I go, so.
Right, because the truth.
And then it was like, why were you looking through my stuff? He goes, I was looking through my phone. She goes, you were looking through your phone. I said, time out. I'm like, let's get back to why are we asking this? Why are you telling her this? She's like, Mom, he's like, you shame yourself so much about how much you don't like the way you look in your clothes. And this was something that was an issue of hers. Yeah. She admitted it, right, before. And he goes, you didn't want me. He had an eating disorder, meaning like he would like eat maybe one meal a day, right? Very slender. He goes, you're always getting mad at me. You need to eat, you need to eat, you need to eat. I said, Mom, I don't see it's much different. It's just that you're eating in secrecy alone because you feel ashamed that if you eat that we're going to look at you differently, that you failed your diet. And Mom, it's like, I'd rather you eat that out in open because I'd worry less about you if you're eating snacks in front of us than I would if you're doing it in the closet by yourself. That worries me about you, Mom. So by the time the end of the conversation was done, there was a lot of tears. She did not want to, it was like she was exposed. She didn't plan on it. She was like, we're here for you and your depression, your eating disorder. What does that have to do with me? She almost left the room. Luckily, she was in it for the long haul. She stayed there, broke up a lot of tears, and it took a lot of other counseling sessions. But what her son saw at that moment, that he needed to be gentle with Mom. He needed to quit making fun of her about eating because the joke in the family was, oh, what diet you trying this week? So she was being made fun and mocked in her family for failing diets over and over again. So she's like, I can't be honest with anyone. I have to be in secret about it. And so after that conversation, they came up with a couple of good ideas because he had already struggled with having eating issues, even though his were different, that he was able to talk to Mom. Mom felt less shame because son related to her. Their relationship was able to take a different turn, and Mom started to make some progress for herself simply because it was really for her son, not for her.
I mean, I can tell you, so you guys know that I have a daughter serving a mission. And, you know, the way it works now.
And she's never triggered you with eating or
never.
body image or anything like that, right? Never?
never triggered
She's not
me
a young
on
woman in
anything.
good shape and dancing all the time.
No,
and
right?
Looking at you and saying, Mom, what's up?
Mom, come on, come take yoga with me. But for the past couple of weeks, she's been reading my letter. We've been talking. We get to talk once a week, and actually, last week's my birthday, so we talked twice. And I was telling her some things, and towards the end of our conversation yesterday, actually, since we're confessing.
You're confessing.
I'm confessing. She's like, Mom, I need to ask you to do something for me. And she said something. And it was hard for me to hear. Probably because I knew she was right.
So definitely because you knew she was right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't even like sitting here admitting that. I don't even, I hated what she told me that she wanted me to do for her. I was just like, oh man, what you been out there just learning how to have relationships with people? You've just been learning how to help people? Is that what you've been doing?
Well, in her defense, she did learn those guilt trips from one of the best, right? Sweetheart, would you do something for me?
I know.
Would you get good grades?
I know,
please?
but you know what? I guess you're right. I mean, obviously, I am somebody who has not just parenting fatigue, not just work fatigue, not just
life fatigue.
I just am exhausted.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing that I would want to do is sit down and ask for people's advice about how I would rather just take a bath.
Well, what you've learned about shame is that shame hides in the darkness.
Yeah.
So if we don't have to talk about it, we're hoping it'll go away. Doesn't go away. So everyone's going to be protective of the things that they're ashamed of. So when we ask for people to tell us the things that they've seen and they've witnessed would be of help to us so that we're not so drained, we're not so fatigued, we got to be ready to hear what they say because they're practicing. They're not professional communicators. Your kids and especially your partners and spouses out there, they may say it in the most effed up way. You're like, wait, what did you just tell me to do? Well, quit eating. Like, quit eating? Well, it's just so much. You're like, are you an idiot? Like, what do you mean? Like, so I've seen a lot of people ask for this help, and the response they got was, you have to sift through like all the horrible like ways that your family are telling you this and try to look for the little gems and the little nuggets. Oh, so what you're saying is you want me to live longer, so you want me to eat healthier, so that way I'm in a better mood. Yeah, I guess that's it. And they may not say it as eloquently as that,
right.
But you really have to look for what's the meaning, like really pay attention to the overall meaning, not just the details of what they're telling you.
Okay.
Because it's hard to hear sometimes.
If any of you who are listening just took like a really big deep breath, then you know that this is something you've got to try.
Then you're kin to Heidi. Well, I mean, think about it. It makes so much sense.
It does make a lot of sense. It makes maybe a little too much
If
sense.
we're running a business, what business do you want to work for? The business that says, we know how to do everything, or the business that says, hey, we need your insight. How could we be better? Because we feel like we're running around like a chicken with its head cut off. We're spending money we need to spend. I mean, how many times have you listeners out there worked for a company that you're sitting there going, they're so stupid.
Why would they do this?
They're so stupid. This is such an easier way. And when you ask the management or the companies, like, why do you still do it this way? They have answers like, well, it's just, it's a procedure from corporate. And they give you all, you're like, that made no sense. So you're telling me that you don't know why you're doing something that costs more money and takes more time, and you won't listen to the people who are actually working in the trenches to change it. So nobody wants to work for that company. You want to work for the company that says, hey, listen, we don't want to keep on reinventing the wheel. We don't want to say like we know everything. There's nothing else to learn. We need you to give us feedback. That's how you get buy-in from your kids. That's how they feel like they're part of the family business. And that's also how you as a parent update your parenting app and evolve so that you're caught up with the necessary energy and ability that you need to show up for your kids, to show up for your job, to show up for everything you need to show up. And when I say show up, not just like here, present show up, like show up and actually kick butt, take names. And at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I was not a perfect parent, but I had some wins. I was not perfect at my job, but I got it done.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah. By the way, after you ask your kids this and they give you the feedback, absolutely mandatory. This will not work if you quickly go into defense attorney mode of the way that you've been doing things. If they say, oh, you should get more sleep. Well, I've been trying to get more sleep. You don't understand how hard it is. See, I have a sleep issue. So no one wants to hear about it. No one wants to hear about your sleep issue. No one wants to hear about that. Look at what they're saying. If they're saying sleep is an issue and you know it's an issue, gosh, if they know it's an issue, you know it's an issue, then maybe you need to quit telling yourself you've tried everything. I'm doing air quotes, right? I've tried everything. There's no way to try everything. There's trying everything that you knew to try, right? You could Google there's thousands of different things that you could try that you haven't tried yet. So taking that feedback without getting defensive and without trying to defend why you're doing it, because if your family members give you feedback that could help you and your response is, oh, I really have to let you know why I'm unable to do those, or I've tried that and didn't work, then A, you're dismissing them. The whole entire point of this exercise not only did not work, but it actually can make it worse now, because they're like, sweet, you asked me for my advice. Hey, have you ever asked someone, like someone asks you for advice, you give it, and then they tell you that it's not good advice, you're not doing it, then you're like, why the hell are you asking me for my advice then? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing, right?
Sure.
So we don't want, even if you don't take your kids' advice, just sit there and sit with it, be like, dang, like, you know what? Gosh, there's a part of me that wants to sit here and say, oh, well, I'm not that bad at it, but, I mean, if you're saying that you've noticed it, then maybe that is something I should take more seriously. Like, just think about it.
And the truth of the matter is, even if it's not a fatigue situation, this is how you update your parenting app.
Yep.
Right? That is what you do is, just like the companies who make the apps, they ask their people that says, what went wrong?
If you don't do sample
take the
groups
survey,
and feedback,
tell us what we're doing, and then they update it, then they fix it.
You know how many companies spent tons of money on apps that no one likes because they didn't get enough feedback, and they didn't. Right. They go, well, we like it, and let's see, we're all 10 friends, we like the same thing, so everyone else is going to like it. It
Right.
doesn't work.
Right. So, maybe as we go into this new season of our lives, this
it means spring, winter for us in Utah. It's our spring, winter. It's about to snow any day now because it was sunny today.
That's true. Maybe your parenting app, like mine, has like 2 or 3 update buttons.
You've missed a couple updates?
I think that could be.
You need to turn on your notifications for the updates.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that. You guys, I'm in that category. And
give it a shot, you guys.
I think it's just part of evolution. If time is passing, then we're needing to evolve. And this is really good advice. This is not easy advice.
Well, the advice is definitely you got to ask for the feedback.
Yeah.
And everybody's nervous to ask for feedback, but you get better at asking for feedback and taking feedback. And your kids and family members get better at giving feedback the more you ask for it. If you want your kids to come to you and ask you for help, well, then maybe you should model the same.
Boom, boom, boom. Well, we need the matlock.
Isn't that? I know the matlock. Isn't that like a Chinese proverb? It's like, give someone a fish, they eat for a day. Teach them how to fish.
Yes, sensei. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us. If you're watching us, maybe you're watching us on Patreon. Maybe you're watching us on YouTube. I mean, for sure you're wanting to check out David's hair. If anything
My
else.
Donnie Bonaducci hair. Hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Want to wish all of you guys, we're going into Happy Mother's Day. I want to wish every one of you moms listening, grandmas listening, babysitters listening, teachers listening. I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day.
And before you say the light the fight thing, I just had a great swag thing.
Okay. Okay.
Let's make leather jackets that pop the collar, and on the back says "Light the effing fight." Hey yo, okay.
There it is. All right, you guys. Thanks for helping us to light the effing fight.
There you go. All right.